Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Because Football podcast. This is your host, Coach Andrew, and today I have a very special guest, Reda Laraichi of Morocco. Reda is the Senior Manager of Business Development and Strategy for Rainbow Sports Global, a company that provides holistic management, marketing, and media solutions for football sports agencies, clubs, and talented African football players. Reda, thank you so much and welcome to the podcast.
Well, thanks a lot, Andrew, for this opportunity, and want to congratulate you as well for your great podcast. I've been following you, so yeah, keep it up with your efforts, and really pleased to be with you today.
Thank you for the kind words. I'm excited to speak with you for many reasons, but one is that typically our guests are football coaches, players, but we haven't talked to too many people that are on the business side of the sport. And at the end of the day, of course, that's what kind of supports everything else, right? The business practices, the industry standards, and all the things behind the scenes that people don't see. So I'm really excited to get some of your insight on that today and some of your background there. But my first question, could you tell us about your earliest experiences of football or of sport in general?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm born in Morocco, and as any Moroccan, I would say African, we football or soccer is our sports number one sports, and so I've been playing football since I was like I remember myself like 5 or 6 years old,
Mm.
and yeah, and then from there I came to the US, played for Old Dominion University NCAA soccer team in Division One, but unfortunately I didn't succeed. For one reason is that I didn't have that mindset, professional mindset. Okay, I have the technical abilities to come and play,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't have that, I would say, that whole professional mindset to succeed, even to wake up in the morning to go train, and was more like just give me the ball and go for the match, which is
Yep,
which
I
is
can
something
understand.
really.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it started like this, and from there yeah, I've started to. I mean, I wanted to really to keep on living and working in the sports industry. So I've made some sports management degrees, first in the US and then in UK, then MBA studies as well. And I worked as a FIFA agent for more than 15 years. And I opened also my sports management consultancy, where I've been able to work for several institutions and also for some football associations, mainly in Africa and mainly Moroccan one. So I worked also for World Cup bids that Morocco tried to host, and now fortunately
Mm-hmm.
we are hosting the 2030 World Cup alongside Spain and Portugal. And yeah, from there I have been able to meet with our CEO, who is Kingsley Pungong, a really great man, and with really great, I mean, ideas, and proposed me to jump on this great adventure with Rainbow Sports, and yeah, and maybe I will explain later on what we are doing. But yeah, that's actually my pathway, and here I am with you today.
And here we are, right? So that's a lot of life put into a few sentences. The first thing I'm curious about, I guess, is when you were a kid playing in Morocco. I know just from seeing online some of the passion that Morocco has for the game of football. Obviously, they did a historic accomplishment at the most recent World Cup with their performance, and now many of the Moroccan players are global household names. But what did that look like as a kid? Was it playing in organized leagues? Was it just anywhere you could having a ball? Like what did that experience and things look like? Was it a lot of family or community, or was it mostly with friends? Like what was that like for you?
Yeah, well, at that moment when I was playing, there were still a lot of free lands where people can play freely, and so it was more like an organized way of playing, like as you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, with friends in the streets. And of course, there was the school championship. At that time, it was mainly school championships going on. Uh, and to be honest, I've tried to go to playing also in clubs over there in Morocco, but at that time there was also that. But things changed, of course. At that time there was age verification issues. So like I came there to play with under 15, but you know there was already people with some mustache and beard and all that, so it was a bit
Right.
weird, a bit
Yeah.
weird to be able to cope with it. And but I did well though. But yeah, I mean, so there was some kind of issues at that time, but as you mentioned, things get professionalized, and now there was no more issues like this in Morocco. Unfortunately, there are still some issues like that in other African countries. But yeah, it started like with playing with friends, and but again, we lacked professional structures. So I lacked like professional training, proper
Hmm.
training, mentally prepared. So yeah, we are technically good, but we lacked really mentally, and that's what also helped Morocco perform well in the last World Cup, because we created a great academy in Morocco, and
Hmm.
people starting getting that professional mentality, and that helps a lot our local championship.
Excellent. Yeah, and yeah, so obviously you're playing every day anywhere you can find some space in a very organic, free type of way, and that creates that technique, that control of the ball, that love of the ball. And then a lot of people might be wondering, okay, it's not very common for someone from Morocco to then jump to make the jump to go to the United States to play. So how did that opportunity come around?
Well, I had those two challenges, that I have to continue my studies and do sports. One of my and also I have the pressure of my parents that okay, if you want to go to the sports, you have also to continue education, and they
Hmm.
are right about that. So I had one of my friend who was in Bollettieri Academy in Florida, who was doing he was in golf, and he went there earlier, well, since high school. So we kept like speaking about that, and it really interested me. And then from there, I started looking for how can I manage to continue my studies and play soccer.
Hmm.
So first thing first, I was looking more to find so good university that is proposing sports management degrees, but as well
Okay.
playing at a high level in football. So I found Old Dominion University in Virginia, Norfolk, and I've applied and was fortunate enough to be taken as a student first. I did my tryouts once. I've landed there and
Okay.
got picked by the coach Alan Dawson. But yeah, as I mentioned, unfortunately, I didn't have that mindset to cope with the trainings, and I've dropped. Unfortunately, I couldn't manage to continue. Then I went to continue my football and studies in England, just at the university
Okay.
level, and yeah, from there I stopped really thinking about becoming a professional as football player, but more as a business sports person.
All right. And with those big risks, right? Those courageous decisions, leaving home, going to a new country, across the Atlantic Ocean, being in a new environment and culture when it comes to academics and athletics, and then back to England. In that time for you, it must have been quite challenging, a lot of difficulties. But what do you think you learned during those times in university that helped set you up for success later in your life?
Well, to be totally transparent with you, the first day was really hard. When I arrived, I've cried,
Sure.
and then from there, uh, that's what really the U.S. system really is fantastic about that, because they made everything to make me adapt to the system. I was in an international campus, so many
Okay.
nationalities in the same situation as I was. So to be honest, from the second day, I was like a fish in a sea. So like yeah, I was really happy to be there and started to learn how things going on. And I found out that I wasn't the only one in that situation. And to be honest, also all the staff was here to help us in any situation
Great.
that was arising. So yeah, I mean, I've been able to discover a new culture. I've been able also to discover a new way of learning.
Hmm.
I'm coming from a Moroccan and more a French system, and the French system is really so strict, you know. And American system, you have to understand things by yourself, and they help you understand it. So it gave me a lot of confidence. In the French system and the Moroccan system, we are really afraid by the teachers, but in the US, you're more like, like people are giving you confidence, and the teacher, of course, he's here to learn, to make you learn, but it's really more open discussion. So this thing that really made me confident, and made me more confident also on the field, because I found out that I can be, myself, and say whatever I need to say, not being blocked, whatever.
Right.
So it really helped me on my daily basis and my daily life. And from the sports point of view, I've really discovered what is needed to succeed. Not only the technical abilities, but also the mental, the physical part.
Hmm.
We are a bit skinny in Morocco, not as strong as you guys, but so yeah, I came and discovered really all those physical exercises that we have to do, the gym exercises, how we have to pull weights, just really basic
Hmm.
stuff.
Yeah.
One thing also that I learned, which is really basic, how to make a throw in, because we can throw
Okay.
in just like this in Morocco, but just like the right gesture. It's really basic, but really important to learn. And yeah, so I learned basic stuff. I learned really motivation stuff. Um, I learned to live. so
Yeah.
so it was really fantastic experience that I had in the US, and really encourage anyone to come to the US to do such experience, because you continue your education at a high level and also training at a high level. And we've
Hmm.
seen like great players coming from there. I played also with great players that played MLS in my team.
Okay.
So, I mean, that was really great experience for my side.
Yeah, that's so funny you mentioned the throw-ins piece. I was not expecting that to be one of your learnings there, Rita. But it's great
Yeah,
that I'm sure after day
yeah,
one, the tears from the overwhelm, the shock of what have I done, and then you just jumped right into everything. I do think that in the United States, from a football angle, there are many critics of saying like, well, the university system, or we also have a lot of high school football and
yeah,
athletic competitions. A school is so closely connected with athletics in the United States. A lot of people in the pure football side are say like, it's a system that doesn't really help us develop elite talent. We can't develop world class players this way. By the time a player is playing university, they're like 18 to 23 years old, and that's prime time to become a professional. There's a short season. There's all these other negatives, which from a footballing side, sure, I see. And there have been a lot of things that have happened in the last 15 to 20 years with the growth of MLS academies, with MLS Next and MLS Next Pro. And so there is more of a European pathway from 8, 9 years old for a player that if he's good enough being in the academy all the way through. But I think that for the majority of people, for the 99% that won't, like us, that won't necessarily have all the many tools needed to become a professional, it is a great system to develop the whole individual and give opportunities for life and a career after just playing, and we're very blessed to have the infrastructure and a lot of support with that. So you
exactly.
mentioned once you went to England, you kind of had the dreams of being a professional football player, kind of stopped, and then the sports business and sports management side began. So what were some of your first experiences getting into the sporting industry?
So I got my FIFA license, agent license, at the age of 21. Um, so I was still a student in London, and so I made my first transfer while I was still a student. So it was really nice experience. But and at the same time, it's as a FIFA agent at 21, uh, it's really tough. You receive so many, so many. Yeah. But yeah, well, you put yourself in so many bad situations, not because I wanted
Mm,
to, but you're new in the business, and you get like other people take advantage of the situations. And still at the end of my career as a FIFA agent, because it's really particular markets.
mm-hmm.
There are wolves. Well, there are wolves everywhere in
Yeah.
all the jobs, but in the sports industry, you have quite interesting wolves, and yeah, you have to be always on your feet, and yeah, be able to receive like any punches from everywhere. It can come from the player, from the president, from the club president, from the FA, from everywhere. So So yeah, I learned a lot of things being a FIFA agent. I lost a lot of deals. I was like almost going to sign a lot of players, and at the end, last minute, the deals were
Mm.
yeah, didn't happen. So it could be really disappointing and saying, okay, I have to stop this job. But from my side, the passion was here, and
Hmm.
it permit me to keep and to keep like yeah to stay in close to this industry. And yeah, but from there, I've tried to work with particular and specific clubs that are well structured, well managed, and was more also doing some scouting for them. And at the end, really at the end, that's why I stopped also doing FIFA agent, because there are issues also with FIFA agent, from ethical points of views,
Mm.
and I started more doing of sports management consultancy for clubs and football associations,
Okay.
and yeah. So then that's where I wanted to go, and until now.
Yeah, I talk to so many people, and even if you're with partners who are not wolves, as you say, people who you can trust, who are trying to do things transparently in the right way, football is still such a risky industry. Things change so quickly, because it's results based, it's performance based, right? So things
Yeah.
can happen so quickly. A lot of the money that goes into it, many owners, maybe they get into it at first and they get bored, or they get scared, or they realize they're losing money after a few years and it changes. But could you take us back that first deal? You've done your studies, you are a FIFA agent, and now it's just you and you have nothing else, and you've got to kind of find something. So for anyone watching who wants to get into being an agent and thinks that might be a path that they want to take, could you walk us through that first deal and things that they need to do to get started?
Well, it started with the first deal that I've tried to make was with two of my teammates in the university where I was playing in England. They were playing also regional football in London. So I tried to bring them to Morocco actually, because we didn't have like that physical ability that they have,
Hmm.
those two players. And I'm speaking about those two players because it helped me a lot to understand how the business works. So I brought those two players in Morocco, in a small town, not the capital city, and with a club that is playing like the Arab Champions League.
Okay.
And so I brought them there. They started training. Everything was going well, but they didn't cope with the environment.
Mm.
And that was my fault in a way, because I didn't prepare them for that. I didn't say, okay, guys, we'll come in a different environment. It's different from England. Sometimes you might not have hot water in the locker room. You might not have
Sure.
maybe sometimes electricity, maybe
Hmm.
um, but yeah, also the grass is not as good as in England. If you fell, you might injure yourself. So these type of things that I wasn't really, I was just thinking about their technical abilities and like
Yes.
just come and I'm sure that you will sign. And because just one of the players coped well, the other one didn't cope well, and he started speaking to the other player, said, "Oh, we are in a bad condition," and all that. So the other
Hmm.
one got also influenced by this,
They're
and they
discouraged. Yeah.
discouraged exactly, and so they didn't sign. Um, and it also may help. I mean, make me say that maybe it wasn't the best thing to bring two players at the same time. Maybe just one by one,
Mm.
because one can. And, well, they can encourage themselves, but it's risky because one can say bad things and happen in this situation. So yeah,
Sure.
from that experience, it really helped me a lot to understand this situation. And my first transfer uh, was right after that with a French player, but with Moroccan origins. So he knew about Morocco, but I didn't make the same mistakes. So I told him, okay, listen, in that club, here is how it's going on. In Morocco, how it's going
Hmm.
on. So he came, he was well prepared to that. And everything went smoothly. And I did my first transfer like this. So but again, this situation, because I tried again to bring some players from France with Moroccan descent, but
Okay.
but some cope with it, some didn't cope, and so I stopped at the moment bringing double nationality players because they are expecting higher expectations in terms of I said infrastructure and all that. So I decided to stop getting that criteria that could be influential. I mean, this could be negatively, have negative impacts on the player and on
Hmm.
his development. So as I really focused on local Moroccan players or African descent players coming from Cameroon, Ivory Coast, coming to Morocco, and it worked well because uh, well, we have the chance in Morocco to have quite a developed country compared to other African countries.
Right,
So I'm
right.
in that road from other African, I would say, yeah, South African countries coming to more Northern African countries. It's they changed a bit their life and in a better way. So they are keen to give much more efforts. And yeah, so yeah, that was my first experience, and from there, yeah, everything went as well. I've tried to do it as much as I could, as much as I expect.
Yeah, well, thanks for being vulnerable, sharing some of those mistakes that maybe others can use to inform their decisions here. From what you've said there, Rada, two things really stand out to me. One is, and I think they're related. So one is uh, setting the right expectations, creating a picture in the player's mind of what that's going to look like, and I think that's a skill and it has to do, I think, with empathy and really connecting with people, and that's a skill that's important in any type of business because some people might think, oh, I just want the biggest deal I can, I'm looking for the biggest payment and paycheck, but once the contract is signed, you can't deliver, right, or you're not really able to live up to the expectations you created, the project will fail, your reputation will be really negatively affected. So I think that was a really clear point that you give there. And then the other side being the mentality of players, like how important it is to fight through all those struggles and challenges. And so now in your role with Rainbow Sports, how would you say that you carry some of those same type of skills and business practices into what the organization is doing?
Well, I really have the chance really to be in this organization because it's, I've worked, as mentioned, with football clubs, with football associations, with Ministry of Sports. And now within this organization, I have the chance to work with all of these organizations. Since I'll just quickly, so that people understand what we are doing before I jump to say
Please,
how
yeah,
it's
please.
helped me to reach this objective. So yeah, Rainbow Sports actually is an American-owned company. She's the CEO. His name is Kingsley Pangong. He's born in Cameroon, and he has been the representative of the Wasserman Agency, football agency in Africa, and also in Europe. So he was basically working as an agent.
Hmm.
And from there, of course, he created a really big network in the sports industry, either in clubs or sponsors or players. And he decided to create Rainbow Sports. And Rainbow Sports actually owns a lot of clubs all over the world. So the first club that he created was in Cameroon. So created a club in Cameroon, Kenya, Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, sorry, Dubai, Czech Republic, and recently he partnered with a big also US company called Blue Crow. And Blue Crow owns two important clubs, which are Cancun in Mexico and
Okay.
Leganés in Spain, which is one of the most famous clubs in Spain, based in Madrid. And yeah, and from there we are focusing mainly due to our African connections. We are focusing mainly on scouting under 19 players in Africa, and from those players, depending on their levels, either we place them in our African clubs, and if they have a better level, we place them in Dubai. Really, Dubai is our main platform where we develop our players. They stay with us between 6 months to 1 year, and then we place them either in our other clubs or our partner clubs, or we transfer them to clubs. Like we recently did a big transfer to Nantes, FC Nantes in
Okay.
France.
Mm-hmm.
We are placing a lot of, one of our main clients are in MLS actually. So a lot of players are playing in MLS. And yeah, so my previous experience of the African continent is really helping me a lot in this position
Sure.
because um, I came to know more about the African player. What is he expecting? What is he lacking in terms of physical abilities or mental abilities? Um, what he aims for, and what he needs to be professional. So taking these skills plus the scouting network that have been able also to create, yeah, it's I try to help as much as I can the organization in having the best scouting process as possible. In making all of our players as adapted as possible to the local countries. Like for instance, like where most of the players are coming from French-speaking countries to
Right.
Dubai. For instance, we have like 80% of our players speaking French coming into an English speaking country or Arabic speaking country. So it's a big challenge also for them. So we need to think also about the qualities of the coaching staff that needs to speak also French, that needs to know also about the African cultures,
Mm-hmm.
that needs to know about coaching youth people, and also they need to adapt to the for the nutrition part. They are more used to eat like more rice and more chicken. So they need to start also new habits.
Right.
We have also to adapt also ourselves to their habits so that they are not really completely they do not have to forget about their culture. It's really important also for them. So yeah, we adapt also ourselves to that. And yeah, so yeah, knowing the African continent, and which is really particular because that's why also there's no many big companies who are jumping, investing in African football. We don't see City Football Group going there. We don't see
Mm-hmm.
Red Bull going there. They're doing partnerships, but not yet really creating clubs or academies. For now, to be totally honest with you, uh, Rainbow is doing a really great job on that. Right to Dream also is doing an
Yes. Yep.
amazing
I
job
know.
with
Right
Tom
to dream.
Vernon.
Yeah.
Is doing a
Mm-hmm.
fantastic job, and now they are even having both recently a new franchise in MLS with in San Diego.
Right. And then
So
they've also
uh,
started one in Egypt, right? I think they
Exactly,
started. Yeah.
exactly. So, and they have a club in Denmark. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's yeah. So, but why they did that? Because if we take the example of Right to Dream, Tom Vernon, he lived literally in Ghana, so he knows everything about Ghana football. He knows about all the football in the region.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the big issue is the reliability. Once you find that reliable person, it's over. I mean, it's over in the positive way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also that lack of data. So there are many issues that we also try to create from our side. So that explains also why people are not coming to invest in African football.
Mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, most of very promising players in the world are from Africa. So that's a big challenge, and we hope that we will help develop the African countries in that way, and also attract more investors to the African continent.
And so the other thing that really stuck out to me is because you have this system of clubs, you can take a player from their country in Africa, sounds like mostly West and Sub-Saharan Africa, then to Dubai, then to Europe if necessary. Similar to the support you got as a student in the United States in a more holistic way, it sounds like it's more of a development pathway compared to the traditional, which is maybe there's a player who really stands out with their ability, and so they get bought and they're sent to maybe Scandinavia, or maybe it's France or somewhere in Europe, where they're, yes, the club wants them to succeed, but at the end of the day, the responsibility is kind of on the player to be successful, right? Which of course
Yeah.
the players have to take the steps themselves. I'm not saying that, but when you think of such a massive life change for a human to do that, and all the challenges, and like we've said, how difficult football is as a performance business, the toll it takes on your body, your mind. Players need a lot of support, especially at a young age. But it seems that like there's so much room for clubs to grow in terms of taking care of the person and creating a successful environment for them. And so I really like the pathway that you have with Rainbow, being able to gradually introduce the player to a different culture, to a new level of professionalism, and take that next step.
And there is also one thing that is also important, that is like what you are saying, is about the weather. In Africa, we have the chance to have some sun, and it's more hot weather that we have. So imagine someone coming from 30 degrees or even 40 degrees to -10. The shock is terrible. So the shock is terrible in terms of weather. The shock is terrible in terms of way of training. So at least if you bring them to Dubai, which is a weather quite similar to where they are used to, at least you will prepare them for everything. Well, you can't prepare them for the cold weather, but at least mentally they will be prepared and strongly enough to cope with the weather conditions. So, and it's really important thing, because if you and I've done actually, I did a presentation for our clubs here in Dubai for our players, where I've told them, we prepare them for everything that we could, but then they have their own part also that they have to do. The discipline, the motivation, the mindset. It's something that they have to work on by themselves. So it's a hard part as well, but we're trying to help them on that, and also to cope with weather conditions, as I mentioned earlier.
The weather is something I didn't think much about, but it makes sense, especially in an industry like football, where the body is, at the center of everything. And so,
Exactly.
When you're getting used to training and dealing with those type of conditions, it can impact your mind. It does impact your body. It's so different.
That's why actually, even when I was an agent, I never made a transfer in winter. I always made transfers in summer, because it could be like a more smoothie adaptation. So, because in winter, even if the player is good, oh man, we will need to work hard on his mental.
When we think of scouting, right? Like everyone might have a different criteria, what they're looking for in players. Could you tell us about what type of players? Obviously, good ones, high level ones, right? But what type of players or what type of people does Rainbow look for? And then what are those scouting methods and networks? What do they look like? Is it relationships with individual clubs? Is it with other lower level agents in different countries? Is it showcase tournaments? Like how do you find these players? And what are you really looking for that would stand out?
Well, first, I had this chance also to jump on an already organized structure that already has really great network. We have Alexander Morfa, who is the head of football, who has fantastic network. Of course, our CEO Kingsley Pangong, who has really, it's endless, an endless network. And so we have scouts in almost each and every country that we work with. So we train them as in at the Rainbow way, so that they know what we are expecting for each position. Okay. And we are really open. I won't say that we are looking for a forward that has 1.85 m or 80 kilos minimum. We are really open to that. Of course, if you find one with strong and tall, of course, it helps. The only condition that we are putting is the age. So we are aiming for the next big talent. So we are not really scouting players over 19, over 20, I would say. So really focusing on the youth, so that we place them in our academies in Africa or directly to the clubs that we have. So what are the different tools that we are using? You mentioned exactly what we are using, and I see that you're already, used to the content. So Um, so yeah, we are doing combines in different countries.
Okay.
We'll try out sessions. We have, as we mentioned, our network of scouts. We have our network of club presidents, club academies, and of course, we, as many other people, we watch competitions, but we mainly focus on regional competitions because
Okay.
when you arrive at the continental competitions like the AFCON, it's not already late, but almost late.
Mm.
Everyone is here to watch. So our objective is really to go to the qualification stages, or even regional stages, or even really national stages,
Yeah, going deeper and
uh,
deeper, right?
deeper and
Where less
deeper and
people are
deeper.
willing to go, where there are fewer
Exactly,
eyes, less competition.
exactly.
Yeah.
And also in specific countries, like for instance, we are really good in South Sudan. We have been able to get one player, and he's coming to the US actually really in next summer. And yeah, in places where that people don't go. So yeah, as I mentioned,
Hmm.
South Sudan, Uganda, Tanzania, Gambia. Well, Gambia now people start going there. So yeah, we try as much as we can to go to countries where no one is going, or almost no one, I would say. Yeah, exchanging with some people that are in the football industry, saying, "Oh, well, you know what? I've seen a quite interesting players." So we are receiving many. Our WhatsApp is full, so
Hmm.
of videos, and but yeah, it's really fantastic. I would say I'm really happy and really big chance to work in this industry. I mean, that's so I'm really happy for with my position, to be totally honest with you.
It's amazing how it's bringing together all the different roles and all the different parts of the industry you've been involved in. I wanted to ask as well, you mentioned South Sudan, Uganda, Tanzania. For the average football fan, they would not be able to name a player from that country, right? So it would appear that there's a countries that aren't necessarily a hotbed of talent. When we think of African football, we would think of Morocco, Algeria, Egypt, and North Africa. We would think of, the Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal now. Sadio Mane, one of the best players in the world. Cameroon with Eto. So we would think of those countries. So why are you taking the time? Why are you taking the risk? It would seem to go to these countries that are totally unknown and a mystery in terms of football.
Well, first, there is a reality which is competition. So we have a lot of competitors there are agents, there are scouts, there are clubs coming also to watch. Uh, the country that you mentioned, the players are also asking for also much more money now. So there is also the financial part, and we found that we have to, and we are still, of course, scouting on those countries, but we need to go in. And then you have to divide also the country in other regions. So, for instance, in
Mm.
Senegal, doesn't work for us to go and scout for Génération Foot Club or Diambars, which are the two biggest institutions over there, because we know that, well, first they have like close relationship with other clubs, and also we know that they will ask for, well, big money for their players. So we have, for instance, for Senegal, we have to go to small cities, for small region, and
Mm.
go to find some players, because I mean, well, we can compete with other clubs, but it's not the point, in doing some bids on the players and all that. So yeah, we prefer to go to places where, well, where there is talent, because this is how we do our business, and also from a business point of view, also that are affordable in terms of pricing. That's also
Mm.
the reality. And also, if I take, for instance, South Sudan, they have that capacity, that ability, and also we see it also in basketball. They are really tall players, and so for some positions, it's really interesting to try and develop those players and get the best out of them, and yeah, and transfer them. So we have been working. Well, actually, we have three to four South Sudanese players that are performing really well in Europe,
Okay.
in the US, in Dubai, and also in some African clubs. So Yeah, so we found out a way to develop such players, and yeah, giving the chance to everyone. So yeah, talent is everywhere. You have to go and look for
Mhm.
it. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I've heard speaking with people. Talent is everywhere, and one of the challenges of Africa is not having the clear pathways, right? It's not as clear of, okay, you start from a youth level, you're in the academy, but if you're good enough by 17, 18, you're in reserves or making professional debut. It's such a winding road. So, you have to do things and take a path that's not traditional to Europe
Yeah,
or the rest of the world, to find it, to find those players and to give them the opportunity, because you have so many talented people who are just stuck in situations where there's no real opportunity to go forward. They're not being seen. They might not even be really rated or evaluated properly within their own area. And so it
yeah.
takes, kind of a pathway like you've set up with Rainbow to create that. Another thing I've been thinking about through our conversation, you mentioned early on with some of your first experiences as an agent with the wolves of the football industry, right? It is such it's a big world, and it's a big football world. Anyways, I've heard it called like the Wild West. It can be quite crazy. Unfortunately, there's so much exploitation and manipulation in football. You think of, the players, especially from Africa in particular, because of the dreams that they have, because of their desire to go to Europe, to Asia. There's so many agents who are not ethical, who will just charge them, take their money, to and then send them without any real trials or without putting them in a good situation. It's all the opposite of the things we've been discussing. And what you're doing as a scout, as an agent, it's all built on relationships, right? And you've said the word network a few times. So could you share, like, what do you think is important to build strong relationships, and how do you find, or how do you identify partners who have a similar vision to you and aren't just maybe saying what you want to hear, so they can take your money, type of thing?
I think the work has been really well done within Rainbow because of course, we started from scratch, but we have shown that we are able to find good talent in Africa. So we've settled a good image of a company that is able to develop and find talent. So we are able now, and we just did recently with three players that come to try out in Europe, in Belgium, in France. We send players in tryout without even sending any video, which is really, in this industry, to be honest, is not really common. So we have been able to develop such kind of trust with particular clubs, and those three players actually will sign with them, even if they just didn't receive videos, but they performed well. So our image will confirm. I mean, will be more confirmed, I would say, positively with this situation. Um, yeah, so we have the chance to be a reliable, I would say, company that works. I mean, that find talents in Africa, and of course we keep on working and presenting ourselves to other clubs that we are not used to work with. Now we have also that big challenge of becoming more, I would say, stronger in the Gulf region, where we see all those things going on around Saudi
Mhm.
Arabia, recently also
Yes.
with Qatar. So it's a market that we also have to be strong on that, and we are trying to make some great partnerships locally. But yeah, so the business development never stops for that. Yeah, but thanks to our pathway and our track record, um, I think which we have been able to become a reliable partner. So yeah, that helps us a lot also to approach other clubs and partners.
By now, your reputation, right, it kind of precedes you, as they
Exactly.
say. It goes on, like the fact that you could send players to a club, no video, and they just trust you. Then they know that they're going to get a quality player. It shows the relationship you built and the reputation you have. But what if I'm someone listening here and watching, and I'm a newer agent or something, or I'm just getting into the industry? What are some what would you recommend as far as trying to establish those relationships when you're not Rainbow, when you're just some guy on LinkedIn, right? Or just somebody with an
Exactly.
Instagram? And what would you recommend? And what should I also watch out for? What might be some red flags to think like, oh, this could be a problem and or this could be trouble, and maybe be cautious with those type of partners.
Um, well, first of all, and you mentioned the first thing to do is LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn is a fantastic tool uh, because now we are able to connect with uh, sports directors, club owners.
Mm.
I would have loved to have this tool when I was an agent, like at my early ages. I'm still young, but I would
Of
say in my
course,
early age
extremely young.
experience, I would
Yes.
say.
Yes.
But yeah, yeah. First is LinkedIn for sure. Um, I mean, never. Yeah, we have. You don't have to be like on your side, and you have to be really courageous and go and send messages, even if people won't answer them. But
Hmm.
hey, I mean, just try and send messages to sports club directors, sports. So this is point one. Point two is, of course, to go on the field and try and go to training, not to the well, the matches is important, but if you can go to the VIP parties, it's
Okay.
really important thing to do. But go to trainings. The thing is in this industry is that people need to see you often, even if you don't speak with them.
Mm.
If they see you one time, two times, three times, say, okay, well, this guy already seen him
Yeah.
somewhere. But so it's sometimes it's like yeah, like this that works. So um, to be really patient, the patience
Mm.
is huge. Uh, for me, I've been waiting. Uh, Again, I'm really happy to be in this position where I'm today, but it's it cost me 15 years in the sports
Yeah.
industry before I
Yeah.
jumped in this position. It's not an easy sector to work in, and I've mentioned I've struggled a lot. And sometimes, yeah, I said, okay, let's forget it. Let's go and look for another sector.
Mm.
So yeah, the patience is key. The network, of course, is key. Try to work with official agents. There are so many fake agents in the area. Never trust the videos. You have always in this industry to double confirm or triple confirm the information that is given to you.
Mm.
Even if the player is saying that I've scored 15 goals, and that's the issue also in Africa because it's difficult to find data. You always
Right.
have to double check this information, either through your contact in that country or well, scout or whatever. You have to verify the ages of the player. This is another issue. Not only in Africa, in South America is the case, in Asia is the case as
Mm.
well. So um, and yeah, but uh, don't think that because you have FIFA agent license that you will work straight away.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
there is also another issue is that some club presidents are used to work with exclusive agents. So to make your place is really a hard task. Even
Hmm.
if I take a country like France, there are, I don't know, maybe 500 agents or what, can't remember the number of agents. But the real agent that really works full time as agent, you can, maybe I would say between 20 to 50, maybe agents. So
Wow.
like
For the
10%.
whole country,
Yeah, yeah.
like all the
So,
levels of professional football. Wow.
exactly. So if you want to go there and jump and say, okay, I'll be a football agent. I've seen Cristiano Ronaldo signing for $500 million. Just yeah, I mean, it's good to have that in mind, but you have to work hard for that, and you have several options to start that. You have the option to either do some specific work on like youth players, or like you say you're gonna work just in for instance for Washington DC. I would just be concentrated on that region, on those players. Or you can say another thing, and that's what I did at the beginning when I wasn't, I didn't have any network or any like no one was knowing me or whatever. So I've tried to make good contacts with clubs, and then I asked the clubs, what kind of profiles are you looking for? So one of the biggest transfer that I did was with a Brazilian player called Zé Elias. The Elias has already an agent, and it's impossible for me to sign him as an agent because he said, okay, who is this guy coming from Morocco, like 21 years old, whatever. So there is lack of trust. But I had that contact with the club. So I told the agent of the Elias, oh, listen, would the Elias consider this offer from this club? And it worked. So the way of you can attract players in this way. Another way of also working well in this industry is to help coaches, because once you place a coach, you will be able to place players after that because you have the coach to settle in a club.
Yeah, exactly.
So things like that is like small hints tips, I would say, that could help some people to focus maybe on some markets. But yeah, they just need to stop thinking about from the first thing that they will make $100,000 commissions from the first transfer. That's not true.
Yeah, it takes time, right? And
Yeah,
going little by little.
exactly.
Could you,
Even sometimes, I'm sorry to interrupt you,
sure.
but even sometimes for the first deals, just take no commission. Just put your name for you. The player will appreciate this. The club also will appreciate it, and he will open doors for further transfers. So yeah, if you feel that the player won't earn that much, just leave the money for him, and you'll give good image for the player and for the club that is signing the player.
Talk about patience, Reda. That's patience right there. You're working so hard to finally get a deal, and then no commission, leaving it. But like you say, it's kind of trying to build the momentum, right? Trying to build your reputation and your name. Could you shared so many wonderful stories and experiences already, and I've learned so much. I'm sure our listeners and viewers will as well. Could you tell us about a story that might just totally shock us, and we might say there's no chance that this happened? There's no chance that someone thought they could do this or that, whether it's a president, player. Like, just share one memorable story of where you just had to shake your head and say that's totally unique to football.
Well, I would say I would tell you two stories. They're short, but I was supposed to sign a player in Olympique de Marseille in France. He's an international player playing with his national team, and so I was with him with the national team camp in Belgium, and the representative from Marseille was coming to Belgium to make the deal. So I was sitting here waiting for the player to come. He arrived. The representative didn't come, and the player told me, you know what, Reda, I've seen the offer that you've proposed, but now I'm hungry. I need to go to eat first, and then I'll decide. So they meant there is Olympique Marseille coming for you now, and
you're like going crazy, pulling your hair out.
And then and he told me, and I'll tell you the truth. I prefer to stay in Morocco. He was a Moroccan player. I prefer to stay now in Morocco, and let's forget about this deal. Yeah, so I try to as much as I can to tell him, man, you're missing maybe the one lifetime opportunity. And to be honest with you, he did a good career after that because he didn't have that mindset. Well, that was story number one. So one guy, and so how many players dream of playing for Olympique Marseille? I mean, that's and this guy just like, but yeah, that was
too hungry
story two.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So sometimes really stupid reason. Yeah, and then you have one issue with one player who was that I found in Tanzania, who was supposed to come and play in one of the biggest Moroccan clubs. Everything was there, almost signed. I mean, not almost signed. The offer was made by the club. They were just like the final things, just to send the air ticket to the player. So I was in another city, and the club president was in another city. I told me, yeah, please, Reda, can you come and join me here to finalize? So I drove there, and the president was in his car, and he told me, Reda, could you please share with me again the video of the player? Say, President,
Uh-oh.
we've already sent the offer. They accepted the offer. The contact is here. What? Why are you saying to watch? So it wasn't in the office or whatever. It was in his car, and yeah, sometimes deals like just drop off in weird situations. So the
Mm,
player didn't come. The player went to play to the big Algerian club, and he did really well there, and now he's national team or whatever. But yeah, just to tell you, sometimes I mean, and also well, I won't go to the fact where a president asked for commissions and all that, because this is also
sure.
weird stories.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
yeah, this is yeah. So some yeah, I would say funny stories that happened.
If
I
I'm
didn't
you,
get
yeah,
paid
I
for
would
that,
be, yeah, I would be so
but
frustrated if I drove from another place just to have a meeting in his car, and then he wants to
yeah.
go back to step one again of just seeing the video.
Exactly. You see. So yeah.
Oh,
So sometimes, yeah, stories like this happen, and there are so many stories like this. One time, also, for one player, I've been told, okay, we won't pay him cash, but we will pay him, we'll give him an apartment or a land. So yeah, so it's, sometimes, well, you could accept, of course, but you know, it's
sure. Yeah.
you're expecting financial things for the player, but
Hmm.
at the end you find out yourself with rocks or doors between your hands. So
Yeah.
it's a different story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So being an agent or being in the football industry, it can be so challenging. It is so risky. And there's all types of
yeah,
characters, like we've said. And so I'm
yeah,
sure with the skills you develop, you could have gone into another more
yeah.
stable, more boring industry, right? And been very successful there. So what is it that keeps you in football? What is it that kind of makes everything worthwhile for you, Reda?
Um, the 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 passion, to be honest with you, is really number one. Uh, I've already dreamed of joining like a football group like this one. So
Mm,
so yeah, passion, this I would say job objective that I wanted to reach, uh, and yeah, I mean helping talent reach their objectives.
mm,
Uh, what I was saying to the players here in Dubai when I was doing my presentation as well is that I didn't want them to live the same thing that I lived in the US. Um, so I thought that I was had the level to cope with the professional things and all that, but yeah, I came to discover that I didn't have enough discipline, consistency, and yeah, I really don't want them to leave that or to get frustrated at a certain point, you know. So this drives me a lot. Of course, there is the financial part. We are not doing social work, that's for sure.
sure.
Uh,
Maybe your first deal,
so
but after that, the money's coming in.
exactly. That's the so yeah. I mean, if you take all those criterias, um, yeah, working in your passion is has a price,
Mm,
and I'm definitely going to that. And yeah, maybe I can, as a personally, maybe I can earn more money in other industries, but I mean, I'm really fulfilled with great things, and I'm really happy to go to work in the morning or check the plane or whatever, and I can't ever change this for any other job. So so yeah, I hope to stay in the industry as much as I can. So I'm just taking day by day and really thanking God also to be in this world and
Mm.
in this industry. So yeah, I'm really happy to. So yeah, passion and yeah, the chance to be in this industry, that's for sure.
Amazing, amazing. Well, I think that's a great way to kind of end our chat. I've learned so much from this. This is like what I love about our conversation today, Reda, and the experience and the expertise that you have is just like you've seen behind the curtain of things, right? The average football fan, we're just seeing, we get the end of the story. We read the newspapers. You're doing everything that leads to what they're writing about, right? And those people and placing people in those positions. So really fascinating. The way that we end every podcast episode is with this final statement or question. But could you complete the sentence because football dot dot dot?
Uh, if I'm here where I am, I was really shy when I was young. I was, on my small place and not well going. I mean, not going out to people,
Mm-hmm.
or so I had difficulties to discuss, to exchange with people. But because of football, um, I've been able to open up a bit more because my technical abilities gave me a status.
Mm.
I was a good player. So people was saying, okay, please, Reda, come and play with us. And it gave me confidence. It made me also play football with different social groups. So because of football, I've been able to to play, yeah, with different social categories of people and to also to learn Arabic. I've been in a French
Mm.
school, so I was
Okay.
more speaking French. But because of football, as I've been able to speak better Arabic, to understand more the culture, to have friends, to be where I am today. So yeah, because of football, I want to be speaking with you today. So yeah, I mean, yeah, football is for me is really everything. Is really everything. It's made me as a person, um, because I've learned bad things as and good things. I've yeah, so yeah, I mean it's really life-changing experience. It helped me grow, and yes, I'm really thankful to this football industry.
That's a beautiful answer. That's great, and really shows the changes, the metamorphosis, the transformation that you've made throughout your life, and here you are, in such an important, almost dream job for yourself, like you said. It's amazing. So, Reda, thank you so much. Merci. It was a pleasure, and I learned so much today, and really enjoyed it. So thank you so much, and I wish you the best personally, and with Rainbow as the organization continues to grow, have more of an impact, giving more opportunities to players, particularly in Africa. Yeah, it was a great conversation, and hope we can talk again sometime.
Definitely. Well, I would like also mainly to thank you really for this opportunity. I really enjoyed spending time with you and really great questions. I mean, I've never been into those type of questions, and really happy. To be honest, I did many interviews and either in radio or TV, but like really now is really interesting things that we
Thank you
shared.
so
I hope
much.
that the your followers will appreciate it. And yeah, I'm really open to anyone wants to contact me, who knows, who needs advice or whatever.
Yes.
Just contact me through LinkedIn. Again, we spoke about LinkedIn early
Yep.
on,
Yep. And
and
exactly.
and so yeah, I'll just jump in, and we're really happy to help you guys. But again, and congratulations, and really fantastic podcast that you're doing, Andrew.
Thank you so
And
much.
also really thankful that you get this interest about African football, and yeah, the behind the scenes, and yeah, really congratulations, and keep up with the good work, and definitely we keep in touch for further things that we can do together. That's for sure.
Of course. Thank you. Yes, and we'll include your LinkedIn information in the description, whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, we will have Reda's information. And LinkedIn connected us, and he's always open to chat. So I hope everyone takes advantage of that. But thank you so much for your kind words. It was a pleasure, and we'll see you on the next podcast.
Thank you, Andrew. Take care. Bye bye.